Yeah?
Yeah. My number one is Lost Planet 3, The Chronicles of Jimmy Peyton, my bearded boy. Lost Planet 3, it's not very good, is it?
I think it's quite a bit less good than you said it is. I think you probably like it more than I do.
Well, I probably played more of it than you,
Yeah, that's
but yeah, okay. Let's drop the backstory then. You're Jimmy Peyton, fucking guy with a beard. If you want to watch a video on all the things that he looks like, check out the YouTube channel. He's a weird bloke. He's a very strange guy. He takes a job on the planet EDN3, which is the lost planet. Although I don't see why it's lost because you can get there quite easily, seemingly. It's he takes a job because he needs money for his wife, who, to be fair, doesn't change her clothes throughout the entire story of the game. So it does seem like they're quite poor. And their son Hank. No baby has ever been called Hank, ever. Anyway, so he takes a job on a different planet. The world's worst job. I mean, there's no worse job than this. His job is to go out into the freezing cold and get assaulted by thousands of aliens on the off chance that they might find some orange stuff, which is going to be fuel to send back home. No one would take that job. The only reason he got that job in the first place is because he's really good at driving giant robots. Now, he has a giant robot on EDN3, but he already had it, and it was his giant robot from back home. But I don't understand why you'd need a giant robot back home, because it's only... Doesn't matter. This game's not very good. The other Lost Planet games, first one was kind of, I call it like a sort of glorious mess. At the time, it looked amazing. It had some cool ideas with the grappling hook that you could use at any point. It looked really, looked nice. It had the contrast between the snow and the orange, and it had the mechs where they moved really fast, and it made a lot of mistakes as well. But it was a cool game, especially at the time. And the second one tried things as well, but ultimately failed. Tried to do the 4-player co-op deal. And it I wanted to go in a kind of Monster Hunter direction, I got the impression of, but ultimately it just ended up with you getting spammed by these giant monsters and you couldn't get up, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But at least they tried to do something interesting. This is just, it's a different team. It's Spark Unlimited, the guys who made fucking Turning Point and Legendary, two of the worst games on Xbox. And I just don't know why it exists. It's just the most generic plodding shooter you'll ever play, with bits where you're inside a robot that moves so slowly and none of the levels are big enough for the robot to go in. So you just walk to the level at no miles an hour in a robot, listening to weird country music, I don't know why, get out of the robot, and then go and fight the aliens. You're way tougher out of the robot than you are in the robot. So if you get attacked by Acrid in the robot, you're going to get killed pretty quickly. But out of the robot, you can take an absolute pasting. The only thing the game has going for it is two things, in fact. Jim Peyton made me laugh because he's so fucking weird. He's always grinning the whole time. His face is just bizarre. He does look like a Doberman. He looks like a million different things. And he just sounds like a normal person for some reason. He doesn't sound like that gruff action hero that's in every one of these types of games. He just sounds like a normal bloke he's just bored by his job, which is the world's most dangerous job. It's more dangerous than just going to war with no clothes on. But he doesn't seem to be too fazed by it. Apparently the only danger is going a bit mad because of the snow, not the constant threat of death by 400-foot aliens. Anyway... and the only other good thing going for it is the shooting is generic as all hell. You couldn't get more generic, but it works fine. Like, the shotgun makes things explode. The controls are fine. You walk, you shoot. It's so unremarkable that you can just kind of play it completely switched off. The only thing that drives you completely mad is the waypoint system, which constantly sends you in the wrong direction.
Oh God, yeah.
It's so bad. It's unreal. But I wanted to hate Lost Planet 3 as I was playing it, but it was never frustrating enough to hate it. You just plod through and it's easy, and I just don't understand why it exists. It's just a waste of fucking space, but it never pissed me off enough to hate it.
See, that's more offensive to me than being like having spikes of difficulty, being as monotonous and dull. I mean, I have played about 4, maybe 5 hours. No, I'd say 4 hours of the campaign, and I've thrown in the towel. Life is way.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely the right decision. 4 hours is 4 hours too long.
Life is way too short to play a game like this. I mean, I'm pretty sure also that I could give almost anybody in this, a games writer or an industry professional screenshots of Lost Planet 3 and Dead Space 3, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in a lot of instances. There's actual sequences, level design, bosses where I'm like, I've done this already, and I did it in Dead Space 3. The holographic menu you access is exactly the same as the mini games when you hack into those things is exactly the same. The visuals, it's all black and light blue with splashes of orange. It's Dead Space.
It is Dead Space 3.
It's quite a lot. Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I suppose if you had to say something nice about the Lost Planet series is that they are all completely different. The first one's got that weird time attack system, which means you can't explore, and yet you're supposed to explore. The second one was a co-op shooter that I liked at first, and then kind of sort of fell out with. This is just Dead Space 3, or Dead Space Poor, as I called it earlier on today. Tell me something really intrigued me. The first thing that happens, one of the first things that happens in the game, is there's a really bad joke. And I saw that and I was like, oh, wicked, this is a spoof. I was like, this is going to be like a Naked Gun style spoof, because it's such a lame joke. And, and I was like, and then there was another bit where, things happen where like there's this guy who's at the beginning who's just standing doing something, and then you run past him later in the game. He's like, I haven't been standing here this whole time, And I'm like, what? It's weird how its attitude to humour is just to spice in the most weird. It just doesn't work at all. Does that go out through the whole of the entire game?
Yeah, there'll just be a joke once every 25 minutes for no reason whatsoever. Just to either self-referential humour or it'll just crack wise. Oh no, he won't say anything for an hour, and then it'll just make a wisecrack after you just fought a giant boss. No reason. Jimmy Payton, I told you he's weird. He's not like other people. He's a weird guy.
In real life or just in the game?
I don't think he exists in real life.
Sorry, when you keep saying Jimmy Payton, I thought that was the actor's name. That's not, no?
No, Jimmy P. I spent a lot of time with this game and his stupid face. And the only thing that got me through it was just him. Have you got to the bit that is aliens?
Refresh my memory.
Okay, but guess what happens? You go into a place and it's corridors and you shoot things, but the music suddenly turns to the aliens' music. The sort of soft violins, or whatever the fuck instrument. The aliens' music. I don't know what instrument makes it. Yeah. And then in every sci-fi shooter it owes a debt to aliens. No, of course it does. This though. It's just aliens. They're enemies that come out that are just facehuggers. They are exactly the same. They've got long tails with a point at the end, like 6 legs or whatever, weird faces. They jump. They're exactly the same, and they come out of eggs. I thought it was and then you pick up a pulse rifle that fires like 3 bullets at a time. Yeah. I was like, is this like an homage?
Yes,
an homage to aliens in a sci-fi shooter? I was like, could you not try a bit harder?
The things that really made me think, what is going on? The very first, after the cutscene with the joke, the title sequence comes up, and the music sounds exactly like the music at the very beginning of Predator, and then a pod fires from a ship and lands on a planet. You're like, that's the exact opening of Predator. Why is that happening? And then there's Dead Space music throughout. And then I just don't know what it is. What the hell is it?
Why does it exist?
Why does it exist? I mean, it really is boring. Not only does the mech move slowly,
so slow.
If you run, you move really slowly. It never explains what the hell is T energy. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's a currency. I don't know what it is.
That's the stuff that you're trying to harvest to send back home, but it's also the currency of your base.
But it's also health, isn't it?
No, you just recharge your health.
I swear you do it faster when you pick up loads of that stuff.
Oh, you probably do. You probably do in some bits and not in other bits.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Because it's totally in line with everything else. I thought it was so monotonous and so dull, and it had so little personality that I couldn't. It was so painful playing it. I absolutely hated my time playing it for 4 hours. Another thing, I don't know what it's like on the PlayStation, but on the Xbox 360 version, during some action scenes, it drops to considerably less than 30 frames per second.
Oh yeah, it does on PS3 as well.
I mean, really, really quite. But then there's other bits where it looks stunning.
It does look nice in some bits, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most... Yeah. It's what a mess.
I fell asleep, and to be fair, this is the game that I played pretty much straight after coming back from Gamescom, having had no sleep. But I fell asleep 10 times during this game, and I kept waking up with Jimmy P just running into a wall, and I thought, he must be really confused. I've never fallen asleep like that before. I've sort of nodded off slowly playing games really late at night, but never full on, mouth open, face down. And then the next day I put it on again and I started falling asleep again, and I was like, I'm not that tired anymore. It's just the game.
To be honest, that happened to me as well. I mean, I fell asleep full on like that during Colonial Marines. But when I was playing this earlier today, I was doing. I just paused it and I had a little like a power nap because it's just, it does. It's like an intense push to make you go to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, and the loading times.
They're not that bad on. Transitioning between areas was quite severe. Yeah. Aside from that, I thought it was quite fun. But yeah, it's like old school. It's almost like Resident Evil Doors.
Yeah.
Moving around a supposedly open big world, and then every few minutes you've got to transition between areas. Yeah. I will say this about it. Have you tried multiplayer?
Briefly, yeah.
What do you think?
Well, it was alright. It was just shooting things. Nothing.
Okay, I thought it was actually really rather good. I reckon I've played it for almost as long as I played the campaign for. I turned it on to have a look. And I ended up playing loads of games on the trot.
You just love shooting other people, though.
I don't,
do it in anything.
In games like this, the multiplayer component is always appalling, almost always. But this is that. It feels really nice. It's like a faster Gears of War. It's really kinetic.
Well, that was the one thing I liked about the game is that they actually just play it to move the man and shoot the things was fine. It was better than it is in most of these types of games.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it feels, but I like how kinetic. They're all objective-based games, and there's always stuff moving around, and it's just there was really nice variation to them, and all of the maps allow flanking. So there's some really cool bits like where they've got to plant bombs, you've got to defuse the bombs, but everyone was using all these tunnels around all. I mean, I just thought normally the multiplayer side of these games like this is always the worst, and this was really quite good. Really, I was genuinely liked it.
I just remembered. Have you seen how he rolls over cover?
Oh wait a minute! Doesn't he flail his legs around?
He does the most bizarre things, like a 6-year-old trying to get into bed. he just lies on it and then rolls really slowly over it like a sausage. That's not a good idea. Good old Jimmy P. He's an odd guy.
I can't say I noticed that, but so my decision to leave it at 4 hours playtime is a wise one.
Fuck yeah! Get out of there! Don't play that. It's terrible. I mean, but it isn't like it's. I would never recommend it to anyone, but it's not so bad. I've played way worse games.